Right, forgive the ghetto setup and lighting. I'll try to improve that with my sparkly jacket. But we just came back from seeing The Secret World of Arrietty, which, if you don't know, is the newest Ghibli effort based on the Borrower's book. And just to preface this did not happen, but I really wanted it to. When I first heard this was happening, it was being brought over by Disney and dubbing it, I was like, John Goodman needs to be in this movie, because he was in that other, like, the Little Borrowers movie, and that was by Disney, and this is a completely unrelated one by Disney, and he's Disney's bitch, so he should be in this, and he does plenty of voice acting for them, so he should be in this, and...
Now, see, man, back in the 80s, I used to watch The Littles. There was a show.
Oh, I remember the cartoon. I didn't watch it.
I liked The Littles. It wasn't the best show.
They had, like, tails and
show.
Stuff. They gave them, like, tails and
Yeah,
stuff.
but it was still pretty... It was entertaining. Mm-hmm. It was an entertaining show. You know, standard Saturday morning kids fare, but entertaining.
Okay. Well, before we get to your issue, okay, I'm gonna play a lot of Nash's points. I agree with. Here's the thing: Nash went into this movie sort of a not a Ghibli virgin per se, but he wasn't like familiar with the way that the studio has been going the past couple of years and their entire filmography and that kind of thing. I was. And I was going into this movie knowing exactly what I was getting into. I went to this movie and I enjoyed it for pretty much exactly as much as I thought I was going to enjoy it. That can kind of be a compliment, or that can be a little bit of a diss, considering what I knew about Ghibli and what they had been doing for the past several years, and what I had seen of the promotional material for this. And I know Miyazaki wrote it and like helped produce it, but somebody else directed it, and I'm like, oh gosh, this is going to be... Basically what I expected was a very safe, very pretty... Ghibli movies are always going to be pretty. This was no exception. It looked absolutely gorgeous. There was one shot of, there's this plot point of this immaculately detailed dollhouse, and they open up the side of the dollhouse, and you see, like, the detail inside of it, and it's all moving, and it wasn't... I don't think it was done with computer. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I don't think the inside of the door, when it moved, was done with computer, because there was some stuff that was hand-drawn in there. So if it was... Either way, it was an expensive shot, and it's like 2 seconds of them opening up this really detailed dollhouse, and I was like, well, that shot cost a lot of money. So it was probably a composite technique. I'm just saying, it wasn't totally CG. It was like a composite of stuff, and it was like, well, that was an expensive shot. It's a gorgeous movie. All of the Ghibli movies are gorgeous, without exception. This was probably one of the better looking ones that was not directed by Miyazaki. It was better looking than, like, The Cat Returns or something. Probably maybe a little prettier than Whisper of the Heart, too. It's probably on par with Whisper of the Heart. It was a very nice looking movie. And it was safe, it was enjoyable, the voice acting was really nice. I'm actually not one of those people that goes, well, if Disney does a dub, it's going to be good. I didn't like the dub for Ponyo. I didn't even really like how Liam Neeson was cast in it. The dub for Ponyo was blah. I've never liked the dub for Spirited Away. I don't think it's bad, I just don't think it's, like, amazing, like people say, just because there are celebrities in it. That's silly. I love some Disney dubs. I liked what they did with Howl's Moving Castle a lot, even Billy Crystal. And I loved, lost my train of thought, the Miramax dub of Princess Mononoke is one of my favorite dubs ever made. I think it's perfect. I mean, Neil Gaiman did that, so, you know, it's perfect. But, okay, so I've said all the nice things that I'm going to say about this movie.
Don't make me the bad guy here.
No, you can say nice things too. I'm just going to say, and I will agree with you on your points, because I know what they are.
Don't make me the bad guy here.
But,
God damn.
I know. I'm not going to make you the bad guy. You're, like I said, your opinions are totally valid.
Freaking fans be like, oh my god, Ash hates anime. Oh, fuck him. Oh, fuck that guy.
No.
Fuck that guy.
Bullshit. But I agree. I enjoyed this movie for what it was. But, going into the theater, I knew exactly what I was going to see. And Nash didn't. I think Nash was expecting something better than... I should have warned him, I guess.
Like, oh, it's Miyazaki. I'm like, okay.
No, I didn't. I said it was Ghibli. He's not directed by Miyazaki.
No, his name's in the damn credits.
Yeah, he wrote that. He's not a writer. He's not a writer. You see
his name's in the credits.
You see his name on the screenplay, you're like, oh shit.
I saw Miyazaki. Okay, well, I know Miyazaki. He's done the big one. Okay, he's Miyazaki. I go in, I'm like, okay, this is going to be...
I don't even know who the director was. I really don't. I could look it up.
This was very pretty. Very, very, very pretty. And slow.
It was...
Okay. you could have told this story, the way this script was done, an hour. That's being generous. An hour. If you wanted to get all the little points and details, an hour. You would have wrapped it up. This was 2 hours of just meandering with the camera. You'd have these scenes where we're going to see every step the characters take in lovingly animated detail. Yeah. You wouldn't do this in a live-action movie. You wouldn't sit there.
You might. Depending on what kind of live-action movie you're doing. You might.
Well, no, take this film. Remove the animation element. We're doing a live-action version of this. Can you imagine them taking all that time to show them walking across the nails? There's this one scene.
I can actually. Depending on who's directing it, what their style is, I can totally see them indulging in those kind of shots. But like if we had a Coppola take on this,
this was just.
Well, you can't really remove the animation element because that's a lot of what those movies are is showing off new tech. But there's not really any new techniques and new like. Well, Ghibli's not about showing off new techniques. They're just about impressing you visually, and there's not a whole lot that's impressive. It looks pretty, but there's nothing new to look at.
This was very incompetent direction.
It was not incompetent. Incompetent implies that the movie was poorly put together. It was blasé. It was.
No, I'm as far as direction goes, you've got to draw your audience in. You've got to give them a reason to care. You've got to give them a reason. And I liked the characters. I enjoyed the what little interaction. Here's the other problem. They spend so much time on these grand, pretty shots and all these little details that the interaction between the characters, you're starving for it. You want to see them talk. You want to see them interact, and you're starving for it. But no. You've got to see the field with the flowers in it, and you've got to see, the little tiny inside, every little detail of the dollhouse. You actually having conversations.
There were some really pretty little, not pretty. There were some really, really wonderful little moments between the characters, the interaction, the way it was written, the way it was staged, and they were just that. They were moments. It was like just as you're getting into it, then it would pull away, and there would be like. There was the longest time, this is not really a spoiler, but where you wanted Arrietty and the main kid, Sean, to talk more. Yeah. You wanted to see them together more, and that happens kind of early, not early-ish, but about a third of the way through the film. And then it doesn't happen again for the longest time, and you're like so hungry for that to happen, and what happens in between just feels like filler of, walking up the roof and seeing that, and it just, And here's the thing, I should also preface, like, this movie is not poorly written, and he says poorly directed. I don't think it's poorly directed. I think it was just blasé. Here's the thing, and here's why I was not disappointed by the movie. I was just like, that's what I thought it was going to be after getting out of it. To me, this kind of feels like this sort of feels like Ghibli's version, and I know comparing Ghibli with Disney is a really common comparison that doesn't hold up at all, but in this case it does. This is kind of like Ghibli's late 70s, early 80s period that Disney had. Where, like, Disney is, in this case, Miyazaki is still alive, he's not passed on, but Disney is dead, and all of his projects that he had a finger in at some point, and that people were still working on, have passed. And they go, now what? And the answer is, let's be safe, and let's do things humbly, and do things that will please people, and just be kind of safe and easy to do, and that's what this was. So you got, like, Fox and the Hound, and The Black Cauldron isn't a great example, but in terms of pacing, and, like, how errant the pacing was, and how much you go, okay, what went wrong? Well, I don't really know. That's what this felt like. But the first thing that popped in my head was Fox and the Hound, so that's the comparison I'm sticking with.
I know what went wrong here. You sacrificed the characters and the story for pretty. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but when you get to the ending between Arrietty and Sean, it rings very false and hollow because you never see the connection.
Exactly.
You never see these two characters
That's true.
actually form any sort of really lasting emotional bond. It's just the movie tells you they do.
Yeah, exactly. I got the feeling, I could see the framework, I could see the strings for exactly what they were trying to do, the thematic, what they were trying to set up, everything was perfectly in place, but it hadn't been, like, it didn't feel natural. It felt like, I see what you've done here, like, this is a very nice framework you've built here. Like, but the actual show, the stage itself is kind of empty. It's like, I know what they're trying to say,
and
it just felt really hollow. And
Spiller, we get this really interesting
there's this native borrower who's, like, living in the yard by himself, which is like a jungle, like hunts crickets and stuff. Like, he's barely in the movie, and
yeah, they throw him away. You get this really interesting, like, oh, what's this guy's story? Are we gonna have, like a clan of these? No. He's in it for like maybe 5 minutes total. The 2 hour. No, that's generous. They
try to build up some tension with him too in a scene. I won't spoil, but
boobies.
Well, no, not that. He's never seen a female borrower before. And
Boobies.
And it's a family movie. It's nothing lascivious, but everybody was laughing. The theater was full of college kids that went to go see this movie. So okay, well, we got like 3 minutes left here on the clock. So I guess, just to sum up, go see this movie. I'm not saying no, don't. DVD.
I would say
go see it because if you're an anime fan, if you're not an anime fan, whatever. If you're an anime fan, go support this movie because we want Disney to continue to bring over stuff. The anime is a niche market. This is good enough to go. This is not like Earthsea where it's like don't even go see it. This is good enough to go watch it.
I'd buy the if you want to get your money's worth, I'd buy the DVD.
True. Okay, but in terms of quality, this is a rental for people that are used to my star system. This is a 2.5 star thing. It is worth seeing, but like only once, and it's it is very feel good. It's very safe. It is enjoyable to watch while it's around, and there's no need to
have coffee first.
Yeah, to ever rewatch it again. It's pretty, but like as far as new things to see, it's one of the most underwhelming kind of. It all takes place in a house and it's little people. What do you want? Do you want to talk briefly about, you had a beef with the voice acting. I want to preface this by saying, first of all, I love Carol Burnett, and she's in this, and she's really funny.
You can add more to the video.
I know, but I think we've kind of covered our bases. I don't know. Is there anything really more to say after we just ranted on this?
Alright, the main character, Sean's supposed to be like 14 or so.
This is his problem with it.
13, 14.
I love the voice acting in this. Yeah. I had no problem. I don't know what he's seeing in this.
He sounds like a very sick and sad 25-year-old. Okay, you get this little tiny kid opens his mouth. It's like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, I thought he was supposed to be 13 or 14. I thought his voice had changed, and it's really cracky because he's sick, right?
He's not. It's not cracky. It's like, hey, what's up? It's like it's like freaking Twilight coming out of this kid's mouth.
Well, that's the idea. He's one of the Disney stars. He's one of the Wizards of Waverly.
He's a Disney. No,
he's one of the Disney stars. So yeah,
everyone else was fine. Amy Poehler was surprisingly good in this. I don't think she's done any other voice work before that I'm aware of. Amy Poehler, really well. I wasn't expecting that from somebody who's like on Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, very
broad. Funny. She's very broad comedy, and in this, she's really, really well done.
Yeah, I didn't think Sean was bad. He didn't bother me, because I've seen, again, Spirited Away, worst dub, come on. Ponyo, worst dub. He was the weakest part, but he didn't bother me. He bothered me. He was like, what's that deep voice coming out of the kid's mouth? So yeah, I think the movie
I'm going to die,
The movie is enjoyable, but its flaws can be summed up with one comment that my roommate made who went with us to see the movie. At the end of the movie, it's all closing up, it's all wrapping up, and she looks at me and she says, this is the end of the movie, isn't it? And I went, that's pretty much all there is to say. So yeah, thanks for watching. I would say go see the movie. If you're really strapped for money or something, then rent it on DVD. Whatever. It was enjoyable.
Rental.
It is.
Rental.
Ghibli needs new blood, really badly. Ghibli needs new blood. But it was not a bad movie. Ghibli has made worse movies. Hopefully they won't make worse movies again. But this was okay. It was okay. It was sweet. There you go. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.